And so here we are. Let's take big inhale together and big exhale. And completely relax. Just fall into this moment. Completely fall into this without any resistance. Just drop. Today I would like us to explore the pain that comes from misunderstanding. Very often people say, I'm not heard, I don't feel heard. And this sense of aloneness or loneliness kicks in. I'm not understood, I'm not heard. Let's explore it together. So the pain will be gone with understanding. What is not heard in your world? Where are you feeling not heard? It's some of your position not heard, correct? Some mental position that you took, some side about some event, a person, circumstances, some level of ideology. You identified yourself with one side of the truth. When it comes to communication, that's the only way we really can communicate, because as soon as we said any word, it's already separates us from the whole, because the word has boundaries of content and context. So words separate quite a bit. You cannot holistically express anything. It always becomes a position. It's not wrong position or right position, it's just one of the positions. And that's how we communicate with each other. And as you understand, others have their own positions. So, two people discuss their own point of views from different angles and often don't meet because of our biases, filters of perception, personal emotional triggers, and so on and so on. So it's common not to understand each other. It's very common. And it's not a problem for us personally, unless we take it personally and make it a problem and hurt because of it. So let's look at this statement. I'm alone, I'm not feeling heard, nobody can understand me, I'm not understood. Who is that I who is not understood or not heard? Is it all of you or partial you, mentally described? And not only mentally described, but described in this very moment accordingly to this particular position. Described by you, by your self-perception in the moment. If I say, I feel alone, I don't feel heard, nobody can understand me, I separate myself from another on the basis of my self-identification with particular position. And now you are divided. You are no longer whole. You no longer contain all possible positions, all possible ideas. That which consciousness is, its variations, unlimited variations of all possible ideas it contains and creates, which arises right in front of our eyes, in our awareness. Instead, consciousness collapses into one single point, into one particular angle of perception, and you say, I. That's who I am, according to my identification with this particular position, with a particular point of view. And this I is not heard, yet you say, I am not heard, as if your entirety is not heard. And it's not entirety of you is not heard by entirety of another person. It's just these positions collide. So if on this basis we separate each other from each other and say, you don't hear me, you don't understand me, and then we create separation, energetic, emotional separation, we are only deeper in the illusion of separation. But if we both step back and ask ourselves, okay, obviously we are not meeting each other on the level of this particular point of view, this particular perception. Let's step back. So we stop dividing that which is I am, the wholeness of me, and attach it to particular idea, single idea. If we do this all the time, and people often do, that's natural to feel very lonely, very isolated. It feels like we are away, far away from everything, disconnected, alone. We bump into each other, not meeting each other. But if we treat conversation just as content and let it go, reminding ourselves that we are not content of our mind, we are not our ideas about the world, not our worldviews, we are that which is much prior to it all, much prior to any content. I am, not my thoughts, not my ideas, not my ideological positions, not my social stands. I am prior to all of it. And so I meet another person on the same level of being prior to all their ideas. On that level we are not separated, and any sense of separation is self-constructed. When we realize, or rather remind ourselves that, we can easily remove the barriers to love. Let's take a breath together and let go. Let go of all your hurts, all misunderstandings that have happened lately with friends, your family members, your social connections, co-workers. Let it all go. None of it affected your real connection with these people, because ultimately there is no such thing as these people. There is only one being, living and breathing being, manifested itself in many minds. That being is never alone, never lonely. The beingness rather than being. one mind, one pure consciousness that contains it all. So all ideas that collide on level of manifestation, of the manifested world, not on the level of essence. On the level of our essence, we never divided, never disconnected, never alone, and never can be lonely, because loneliness belongs to personal in us, to that which is identified as a person. If you feel lonely, if you feel isolated, alone, not understood, intellectually incompatible or emotionally incompatible with seemingly the world around you, just notice there is no world around you. The world is within you. Step back. Step back to that which is prior to the world, prior to all appearances that the world takes. Can you find loneliness there? Or any desire to be understood? What wants to be understood? What particular idea? There is plenitude of ideas there. All of them exist simultaneously. Which one wants to be understood more than another? What are the priorities of ideas? There is none. When you step back, there is none. There is no positions. There is nobody to take positions. All there is in one consciousness. Pure awareness that is simply aware of itself. It is aware simultaneously of all ideas that ever risen within it. There is no preferences towards particular idea. And there is no particular person who wants to be understood by another person. Because person is too simply an idea. I am John. This is how I can describe John. Drop John. Go before John ever existed, within description that John gives himself. Who did not understand you? Look for it. Go deep. Go before the person within you, before the thought of you, and find that person, another person who didn't understand you. You will not find that person or yourself within description of a person. You won't find any of it there. Just look yourself. Go before the thought of you arises. Go to the very primary I amness, I exist, or even drop I altogether. Sometimes people get confused with I. Which I? Drop that. Just notice there is awareness, there is existence. Something exists. There is existence. There is. All there is. Go to that place, space, locationless, timeless, undefined. Look there. Can you find any descriptions that will define your I, or define another person's them. Separation between I and you or I and them start to arise later with descriptions of personality, but go before all descriptions. Can you find there separate I's, I and them? You won't. If you still can find them, go further before. Let's take a breath together. Release all ideas that make you suffer, that make you separate, that make you feel alone, isolated, not understood. Sometimes people speak of non-duality as position of detachment. It's quite opposite to that. It's when I am a separate person, I can be detached. I can be attached and I can be detached. If I like the feeling that another brings up in me, I attach. If they stir in me something that points to my illusions, I detach. There's some aversion to togetherness, so I push away, push back, I detach. On the level of one consciousness, pure awareness, there is nobody to attach or detach. There is nothing to attach to or push away. All is included in the content that arises and subsides within consciousness. If you are not understood, ask yourself, who is not understood? What is it to understand? Can I understand it all first? By seeing it, I'm just attached to a particular idea, and I'm hurt by this identification. I'm addicted to being identified as this or another. I'm jumping from one identification to another, and I keep being misunderstood because everybody else have their own ideas about boundaries of identity. Their own identity, another person's identity, identity of the world as they see it. All collides, all ideas collide, all separations present themselves through this difference of identities. To merge with another, all identities have to be dropped. And then you will notice there is not even merger needed. What is needed is removal of separation that we build. And merging just reveals itself because we always are connected. Moreover, there is nobody to be connected to each other. It's all connected always. It's always been connected. There is nothing separate from each other. All is ultimately, have always been connected. Disconnection is a disconnection of the mind, individual mind. There is no other disconnection. All divisions are made up by human mind. Unity is not uniting. Unity is not dividing. Imagine a cup. Cup with water or tea. Let's have a tea. The cup is whole and full of delicious tea. In order for you to want to bring pieces of a cup together, You need to break this cup first and spill over the tea all over your carpet. By default, the cup is whole and full, filled. It's only when you break it into pieces, then now you need to deal with separate pieces and try to band them together. And then they fit or don't fit. Usually they don't fit when you just try to pick them up all together, all separate pieces, separate shapes. You don't know where one belongs to another better. Just impossible to put it together. And you try and you're frustrated that you can't, because you're coming from angle of brokenness. Come back to the time when the cup was whole and full, before your mind broke it into the pieces. Then it's complete. The picture is complete, nothing to fix. All separations are separations of the mind, ideological separations, all separations of the mind. Anytime I can say, I feel lonely, I feel alone, I feel not understood, I feel not heard, we just go back to the essence, to the essential question. Who is not understood? Not even what is not understood, because it's just some thoughts not understood, some positions, some ideologies. What difference does it make? Something is not understood. One thing is not understood today, another thing is not understood tomorrow. But then we say, I'm not understood. Now, not understood becomes our identity. And now we feel separate from another, or from the entire world. We feel very alone. We make ourselves feel alone, because we start to feel resentment towards the world that doesn't understand us. But we create that world that doesn't understand us. Who is I who is not understood? What form this I takes? What positions describe this I right now? Look at it. Let's look together. Say it. I'm not understood. I'm not heard. I am not heard. This is our identification right now that will define how we show up in the world. So who is that I that is not heard? Not by whom, not what is not heard, but who is the I who is not heard? Who is that very separate imagined I who is not heard? When did this I created itself? In this particular shape and form, and with these particular ideas. Can we drop it? Can we drop all identities, all content of identities, descriptions, mental positions, all emotional patterns that those positions form? Drop all content of the I. All content, let it go. Remain empty of all content. Can you describe yourself now? If yes, then drop it. If you can, it's not you, drop that. Drop that completely. Now say again, I'm not understood. I'm alone in this. Well, what is this in which you're alone? What is that would be different than this? Drop it. All ideas, drop them now. Like an onion, peel it off, layer by layer. Keep dropping it all. You are not that, and not that, and not that. That which wants to be understood today is just compilation of ideas, of thoughts. They are temporary. It's all transient. It comes and goes. Don't cling to it. Let it go. It's not you. You are not it. You are that which is before any single thought. You don't even need to sit in meditation to discover it. Just right now, in this very moment, look before any thought. Find yourself before any single definition, any single description. Who are you before any self-definition? Who are you before ideological stand you are taking and want it to be heard and supported by others? Where are the others when you step back, further back, before any thought of yourself and another? Step back when other doesn't exist, when you as individual don't exist. Stand in that place, space of pure awareness, pure consciousness, without any attributes, simply self-aware. Big inhale, big exhale, and drop all ideas with that release. Release it all, release, let it go. Say again, I'm not understood. I'm not heard. Can you find yourself that something, someone who is not heard? Can you find that someone who is separate from another? Can you find him or her? Keep looking for it. If you find it, drop it. It's defined. It's not one. It's still idea. You can know it because you can describe it. Anything you can describe, drop it, let it go. When you look at the world as pure awareness, this self-aware beingness, not even being, but beingness, you can never feel alone. You can never feel separate. You can never feel lonely. And definitely you can never feel misunderstood or not heard, because those concepts don't even exist there. All there is all there is. Everything is happening simultaneously. There's no time, no space, it's just happening. And you're aware of it. You are that which is aware of it. Not even that which is experiencing it, but that which is aware of all experiences. All experiences simultaneously, without any preferences, any priority. There is no priority of pleasure, no priority of pain. Not this kind of pleasure versus this kind of pleasure. Not this kind of pain versus this kind of pain. None of it is found there, separately from another. Who is there to be alone, separate, not understood? Is anybody there who can be defined through content of the mind? And then when you touch this place within you, placeless place, you see it's all united. It's always been united because it never was divided. So there is nothing to fix, nothing to fit to anything, nothing to understand, nothing to know. It's this wonderful, vast not knowing. There is nothing to know. It just is. There is no grasping for understanding, no grasping for being heard, no grasping for connection with another, because there is no disconnection. There is nobody who is disconnected from anybody else. And all there is self-awareness, awareness of the self, which is not you as is defined. It's undefined you, that which cannot be defined ever. No words can define you, no ideas, thoughts can define you, no emotions can define you. Nothing can define you. As soon as it's defined, it's not you. It's your thought of you. It's your concept of you. And if you look at the quality of this self-awareness, pure awareness, not awareness of self as a person, but awareness of awareness, awareness of the awareness of itself, you can notice subtle quality of vibration there. You can experience it. It's very subtle. It's almost qualityless quality. This vibration, very subtle vibration. You can feel that life is happening. You are aware of life that is happening, always happening. And it's this quality of love. You can give it a word if you would choose to find the word. Word love is all I can come up with. It feels this light vibration of well-beingness. It's automatic well-being of the consciousness. It's a fabric of its existence. There is no conflict, no separation, no misunderstanding. It's this pure well-beingness, very subtle. If I were to describe it, that's how I would describe it. So if what we feel is not well-beingness, not harmony, my invitation is step back away from the person that can be described with all her, his positions, but before that, to the level of pure awareness, where you cannot find yourself really as a person. You only can find awareness of everything simultaneously, without priorities or preferences or belonging to particular form, particular idea, particular position, mental position. You are not alone in that. There is no you, I, who is alone. That ultimately, yes, all there is pure consciousness. So aloneness is its default state. It's alone. Consciousness is alone. But all vibrating forms that arise within consciousness, within the mind of the consciousness, within this one big mind, it all breaks into multitude of forms that interact with each other. and life seemingly happens, and it's beautiful. So if we drop all our positions that are so temporary, so transient, so insignificant, and remember that we don't even need to meet each other in love, we already love, because love is fabric of the universe. If we remember that, it will destroy all our resentments toward the world that doesn't look like we want it to look and doesn't behave like we want it to behave. And we just drop into that heart, listen to its beating, appreciate life that we are living, life that takes forms, so we have our experiences. But when experiences overwhelm us, we always can step back and just remind ourselves, well, I'm not this experience. I'm that which comes prior to this. And anytime I want to find that, I can. I don't have to live in forgetting. I can always make myself remember who I am, who I truly am. Much love to you. Stay within your truth, truth of who you truly are. Always free, always connected, always whole and complete. Much love.